Welcome, everyone, to this Tuesday edition of Sports with Rich on the SLG Network and on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. I'm Rich Mancuso. Tuesday, March 21. There's the whiz, Robert Rizzo, your young protege, and, of course, me, Rich Mancuso. Our social media handles scrolled at the bottom of the screen. Ring 786 at Twitter for me, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso, at LatinoSports.com, where I am the associate editor, co-editor with Robert Rizzo, and NewYorkSportsDay.com. A lot of content up there now. And Wiz, welcome in. And where did they reach you?
Welcome, everyone. Glad to be back for another week. Sports with Rich. Robert Rizzo here. You can follow me on Twitter, RobertRiz994, Instagram, RRizzo4, Facebook, Robert Rizzo, and you can catch all my daily content on Latino Sports.
Okay, for the next hour, we will, of course, tune in on the NCAA tournament. Do that later on. We'll begin with baseball with the World Baseball Classic, and I'll give my thoughts about that, and have Tom Gamboa, former Major League manager, coach, minor league manager, and was part of Team Israel a few years back. He was supposed to come on last week. We got him this week. We'll wait for him to come in, and he'll be in a moment. And at the bottom of the hour, keep it in the ring, and we'll have a pro fighter part of the Abella Boxing Show coming up next Saturday night, April 1st. Abella Boxing, Bergen County Fight Night 3. We'll talk about that and much more boxing, the wrestling at WrestleMania coming up, and a little this and a little that. So thank you once again for tuning in. Thanks for your support with your comments all week long. And Wiz, let's begin before we wait for Tom Gamboa. Of course, we're going to focus first on the World Baseball Classic tonight. It is Team USA going for their second title in a row against Team Japan. That game against Mexico, dramatic. Now, you know how I feel about the WBC, and I want to tell everyone again, even you, I like the concept. I think it's great baseball. The fans get into it, especially internationally, and especially the players. The players have all said they love it. Now, you don't hear any negative facts about it. My only contention, again, played at the wrong time of year. I'm not going to go into the Edwin Diaz incident. I'm not going to go into the Jose Altuve situation. Both got injured. Diaz, the freak accident. But when they asked Gamboa about this, though, Tom Gamboa, and of course, Altuve hit by the pitch, I just feel, again, that the WBC is a great concept, but it's played at the wrong time of year. Takes away from spring training as these players prep for a long 162-game season. I've been writing about that on NewYorkSportsDay.com and Latino Sports. A lot of fans don't agree with me. You're welcome to your opinion. Very few agree with me. Some do. A lot of the baseball purists agree with me. That's expected. Wiz, you don't agree with me on that. But let's face it, I got to give in, and there's no doubt about it. It is an exciting brand of baseball.
For sure. It's an exciting brand of baseball. I think of it as the Super Bowl of baseball, the Olympics of baseball. There's nothing like it for the World Baseball Classic. We get it every 4 years. This is the first tournament in 6 years because 2017 with the pandemic and everything. But let me just tell you, Japan, USA, Mexico, Cuba, all the teams that went through that gauntlet, it's been a hell of a journey. And I could just go by the numbers. It's insane. Country by country, Japan just alone last night, Japan's Mexico game, the semifinal game, 93% of households in Japan were tuned into that game. 93%. And we're only talking about Japan. So those numbers, day by day, are going to break records. And I can't wait to see those numbers for tonight. Japan versus USA. Two Goliaths, as I mentioned on Latino Sports. Can't wait to get that game started. Merrill Kelly is pitching for Team USA. And Shohei Ohtani, let's see if he gets that appearance, probably in the 5th inning, 6th inning. But Mike Trout versus Ohtani, that's what's going to be.
Yeah. Well, see, you just brought up, I was just going to say, took the words out of my mouth, Wiz. Ohtani against Trout. Everyone wants to see that. Two teammates. I brought that up a month before this tournament started. That is the interest here tonight. Two teammates, and it would be very interesting if that does come about, and I think it will. So that's a part of it you got to like for sure. The other part of it, again, is the competitiveness and how, like that game last night with Mexico and Japan just went down to the end. And I don't think Lone Depot Park has been that loud ever.
No,
they're not used to that.
I've never
the players. You hear the players. What do they say? They say that And this I like. I do. Look, they say, and I don't like it, and I do like the fact that they say that this is their World Series. Francisco Lindor of the New York Mets, when he got back to Florida with his team yesterday, says, look, I'm proud to be a part of this. I love it. I'm proud and want to win this for my nation, for Puerto Rico, and I'm proud to be Puerto Rican. Great. That's great. And look, it's good for baseball. It's the exposure. Again, what were we going to say?
No, I was going to agree with you. It's great for the exposure. It's not just you're selling MLB teams and jerseys. The records off the sales with Japan jerseys, Japan hats, Puerto Rico hats. So it's more of a selling point, not just for this year, but for the global game in the next coming years. Like a superstar like Roki Sasaki last night, 21-year-old out of Japan. I believe he threw 29 fastballs, 26 of them were over 100 miles per hour. And it has, 5 more years? He has 5 more years in Japan until he can officially get posted in MLB and sign with a team. But something like that, that's the stuff we don't get to see in, say, MLB or only in the World Baseball Classic. And that's something I really love about it.
That's a good point. And me and you have disagreements on this about my concept of it being played at the wrong time of year. And I want to get the opinion now of a longtime baseball guy, been around the game a long time, former major league coach, a minor league manager, especially in the New York area with the New York Mets Penn League Cyclones team. Tom Gamboa. Nice to join us here on this Tuesday night with Sports with Rich, a friend of the program. Tom, you look good out there in the West Coast in California. How was the golf game today? And welcome in.
Hey, Rich and Riz. It's good to be with you guys. And believe it or not, we had rain here in California today. But the moment it stopped, I got out. I got in a quick 9 and then just came back home a little bit to chat with you guys. So everything's good here.
Well, perfect timing, especially with the championship game of the WBC tonight down there in Miami. Team USA, Team Japan. Now, Tom, you and I have talked about this. You've been a part of the WBC. Mm-hmm. You coached Team Israel a few years back, and you saw it. You experienced it. You know the significance of it. I have told you, wrong time of year it's being played. But even before we can get into that and some of the intricacies and some of the controversy about that, the injuries, Team Israel, they put up a good fight in the beginning of this tournament, and nobody would know that better than you.
All right. Yeah, it was a great way for me personally to finish off my career, getting asked to be a part of that, as I really didn't know much about the World Baseball Classic. I knew that baseball had tried to prototype it off the World Cup in soccer, and I think they've done a good job of it. I mean, certainly the emotion is greater than I've ever seen going on this year, but it was a great experience. I followed Team Israel this year, and yeah, they got off to a good start, but then they just didn't hit. I mean, they got. In fact, I was asked to do a 45-second blurb that they were going to play to the team before the game, and Puerto Rico threw a perfect game against them that night. So obviously I didn't have the right words to say, and then they got shut out again the next day. So, the offense was lacking, but they were competitive, and it's the money that's given to the countries in this to develop baseball is really gone a long ways toward making baseball more of a worldwide game. And I commend the commissioner on that.
Yeah, that's a part of it. And before I get the Wiz involved with this and the discussion, I've got to ask you right away, and we'll go into a couple of odds and ends with the WBC here and baseball itself, Major League Baseball around the horn. Tom, I feel it's played at the wrong time of year. I don't know why they can't do it in November, but I can understand it. Coming off the World Series, the players want to go home. There's the Caribbean leagues. There's the NFL as a competitive aspect of it to MLB. And then can you play it in the midsummer towards the All-Star break and take 2 weeks off? I don't think you can do that. How can this be played at the right time so not to interfere with spring training and possible injuries of players, even though these players could get hurt during spring training? They're going down left and right in spring camps. Is there an alternative to another time it could be played?
Well, as you know, Rich, I've been retired for 7 years now, so I have no idea what goes into the ramifications of when they decide it. I agree with you in the context that many years ago, early in my career, um, a Major League Baseball, quote, all-star team, unquote, would go to Japan after the end of the season in October or early November and play a series of exhibition games for 10 days. And that was the perfect timing in the sense that the players were in shape and had just finished their season. And ideally, I agree with you. I think that would be better. I know that club executives are certainly worried not only about the position players, but the pitchers pitching so competitively this early in March. And I think that they trust that the pitchers did a lot of stuff in the winter and a lot of throwing to get their arms in shape for that. But with the money that guys make today, there's certainly a lot at stake. Playing it in mid March.
And you spoke on the emotion and the competitive aspect that you witnessed in 2017 WBC with Team Israel. Tell us more about that emotion compared to minor league and MLB games compared to what you saw in 2017.
Well, that's a great question, Riz. And let me preface it by saying, to the average American, I don't think they get the gist unless they watch the World Cup and see the intensity and the passion that's displayed at that. I spent 9 winters managing in Puerto Rico, 1 in Mexico, and had the good fortune to go to play in the Caribbean World Series because my team in Puerto Rico traditionally won. But people have no idea that on a nightly basis in Puerto Rico in the decade of the 90s, the music is playing, the bongos are going, everything that you're seeing in Miami, that goes on a nightly basis in Puerto Rico, the Dominican, Venezuela, and Mexico. And I tip my hat. In the decade that I managed down there, we're talking about this was at a time where Carlos Baerga, Juan Gonzalez, Robbie Alomar, Carlos Delgado, they were at the peak of their big league careers, making somewhere between 20 and 25 million. And yet they played the full season because they felt they owed it to the people in their native lands for them to get an opportunity to see them play on a daily basis. And they loved playing the game. And so, I was glad to see that Mike Trout, when he saw the emotion that went into this in 2017, he made a statement then that I'm playing in the next one. And just prior to coming on with you guys, I saw Trout interviewed that he's already told him he's playing in the next one. He said this is the most exciting games that he's ever partaken in. And granted, he's only been in 1 playoff in his big league career, but the pride of playing for your country, which the Americans are now starting to get, has been a long, long tradition. Anybody that has seen Latin American baseball knows that the Latin people, they have 4 interests in their life, and that's their family, their religion, their politics, and their baseball, and not necessarily in that order.
So, Tom, how do you protect the players from not getting injured here? You mentioned pitchers, and I know there are certain rules. They've been in this tournament for 2 weeks now, and they're doing that where they're protected, where they're not. There's a pitch count. There is a mercy rule if the game gets out of hand, and there's also this thing where players are not going to play full 9 innings if they don't have to. Managers, club executives, concerned about that part of the WBC. How do they make this tournament even better in 3 years to prevent controversy that we're having on it right now? As much as there is so much great acclaim about it, Tom, there's a lot of controversy. We know that. And I'm going to bring that injury to Edwin Diaz that wasn't on the field, jumping in a celebration. Yet if he had been with his Mets team in spring exhibition games, he doesn't get hurt, and the Mets don't have to worry about losing their closer. If Jose Altuve doesn't get hit by a pitch in the WBC, Altuve is not lost for the first 2 months of the season with a broken finger or whatever, and the Astros would have Altuve in their lineup. It was a big part of their lineup. How is this prevented 3 years from now?
Well, I don't think it can be, Rich. I mean, to answer, I see both sides of the equation here. Obviously, when teams have the kind of money they got invested, $100+ million in Diaz, the money that Altuve makes, but on the flip side of the coin, those guys could have very well gotten hurt playing in a regular spring training game. I think that,
Exactly.
you know,
Mhm.
my number one question, just out of curiosity, I would, and we've alluded to this before, I wonder why they're not doing it immediately postseason, where everybody is in better shape for it.
I agree with
Having
that. Yeah.
played the season
Yeah.
as opposed to now, I'd just be curious to know the reason for that. Um, but the passion that the players have, and as Mike Trout just said, here's one of the arguably the best player in baseball. He's already committed to the next one because he gets it now about the pride of playing for your country, the passion, the emotion in the stands. It's a fun thing to be a part of. I wouldn't trade my 10 years in winter ball for anything, because watching all these games, I'm reliving what I felt on a nightly basis all the years that I was in Puerto Rico. But you hate to see anybody get hurt at any time, but that's just a part of the game. And the
Mm.
Diaz thing was tragic, but it just shows how excited they were to beat their rival in the Dominican Republic. I mean, Puerto Rico was the underdog in that game, and they played a great game and they won. Diaz came in to close it out, and they just got so overly excited. Unfortunately, somebody got hurt.
One last note on the World Baseball Classic, and it alludes to our next point with spring training. Do you see any difficulties, any hardships with these players transferring from the World Baseball Classic, that atmosphere, back to spring training where the games, it's what, 5,000 people at most?
Right. Well, that's a good point. And I can relate to that on a different level, because in the Caribbean World Series, which traditionally is the first week of February, where the four Latin champions of Mexico, Dominican, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela meet for a round robin, after playing 90 games to get there. I got an opportunity to manage in that 3 times, and then a week later I would be in spring training with the Cubs, and it was somewhat of a letdown because of all the passion and emotion you felt, and now you're going to go through 6 weeks at a very low key to get ready to get back on the horse again when the season starts. But I think these players are going to go back to their respective teams, telling them just the feelings that they experienced, and it's going to encourage even more players to want to partake in it. As alluded to, Lindor has been, as much as he hated to see Diaz get hurt, his teammate and a vital cog in the Mets wheel for winning this year. Lindor has already said that the playing in it outweighs the potential for injury, and he's going to play in it again next year. So,
Yeah. A
but
lot of them have said that. Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of them. Yeah. We're talking to Tom Gamboa, a longtime baseball guy, a former major league coach, manager on the minor league level, still involved very much in the game, and part of Team Israel in the World Baseball Classic a few years back. Tom, let's move from the WBC. Me and the Wiz want to pick your reel a little bit, as I say, about baseball 2023 as we get into a new season in about 9 days, and the new rules and modifications of the rules that Major League Baseball came out with today. First question, you've been around the game a long time, as I have, and the Wiz has on another level. Now he's in it as a media guy. The new rules, the pitch clock, it's speeding up the game. We're seeing that in the spring exhibition games, and I like it. I kind of like it. It seems like there's been no controversy with it. Managers have adapted to it. The pitchers seem to adapt to it. The hitters they're the ones that are complaining a little bit. That's why there's a modification that came out by MLB today, as far as them when they're coming off the field to have a little more time in the box and so forth. The game has been, it's speeding up. We see that. Do you like the pitch clock idea?
well, like you, at first I did not live. I'm a strict traditionalist. I thought the game was fine for 150 years before they tinkered with it, but I have been following it. I see that the games are basically a half hour shorter, and when I try to analyze and look back through, my career and watching big league baseball since I was 10, the my opinion is that the advent of TV, every game being televised, I think has caused players to all be a little bit of a prima donna and want their TV time. And the first two guys that I remember delaying the game, and it would be talked about in the dugout, was Mike Hargrove, who had a nickname as the human rain delay, stepping out after every pitch, and then more recently, Nomar Garcia Parra, with the superstition of retaping the gloves after every pitch. But it just seems like as time has gone on, more and more guys, and the music that they play as the player goes up to the box, it's lengthened out the game to the point that, we're in an age where the millennials want everything. They want faster internet. They want fast food. So I think there was a pressure on the commissioner for the young people to keep their interest in the game. And certainly now I have to agree, if the games are a half hour shorter and the pace is better, it's better for fan interest. And I think the players will come to like it as well.
I agree.
Mhm.
I like that. Yeah, Wiz.
No, I agree also with it. And I love the pitch clock to start off. And I believe it was the first week or the second week of spring training. We saw a lot of hit by pitches, a lot of guys losing their grip, a lot of guys rushing in their deliveries. Do you think that's a health and safety concern in the regular season as guys are rushing through their motion with that pitch clock in their head?
Well, that's a great point, Riz. And that when it came in, that as a former long-term manager in the minor leagues, my first concern, as I'm sure all pitching coaches were, you preach so much to pitchers about their tempo and their rhythm, much like a pro golfer's swing, that the advent of a 15-second clock, I was fearful that it would get some guys out of sync and affect their command of their stuff. But these pro athletes, I mean, it seems like in a very short period of time they've been able to make the adjustments necessary, and so far it seems good. I think in talking about the rules, the two that and this is just me personally as a longtime manager, the two that I hate are the putting a guy at second base that doesn't belong there in an extra.
Oh yeah.
I know they're trying to save on the pitchers, but it completely changes the outcome of the game in an unfair way.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a bush league. So bush league.
Yeah,
You
well,
could do that maybe. You know what? I can understand why they're doing that. But if you want to do that, maybe do it after the 11th inning if a game goes that far. Do it that way if it should go that distance. But
all I can tell you,
what about the shift being eliminated and the second base, how it's expanded? It's larger, which could increase more stolen bases. The shift obviously going to increase some batting averages, which we haven't seen in baseball the last few years. What's your feelings on that?
Well, I'm not analytical enough to know anything about the bases. I just really didn't understand what really difference that was going to make. But as far as the shifting, there's no question that left-handed hitters, their averages are going to go up with the fact that the second baseman has been able to play in shallow right field and take away God knows how many sure base hits in the past, is going to it's going to equalize the game more. What I didn't understand the last few years, and it goes back to a Tony Gwynn. People that had bat control Tony Gwynn would have hit 400 for sure with this shifting going on, because he would have just kept hitting balls to the opposite field for sure singles until they put the defense back where it was supposed to be. But as a manager, and I can tell your fans this from the game inside the game, the rule that I hated the most and changed the game completely from a game of chess to checkers from a managerial standpoint is having a relief pitcher have to face three hitters or finish the inning.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was notorious for bringing in Carlos Baerga, even in his prime, and I had tremendous respect for him. He was not a good hitter from the right side. So he knew I'd bring a left-hander in as early as the fifth inning to turn him around if there were men on base, and I'd have another left-hander late in the game. But to have to leave that lefty in to face Juan Gonzalez, who hit behind him, I'm basically just conceding the game to have a lefty face Juan Gonzalez when he was in his prime. So that just completely changed the game for me. But I get it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
The commissioner was trying to find a way to speed up the game and limit the pitching changes, but it changed the game from chess to checkers.
Yeah.
We're here in New York, and on a managerial standpoint, we want to get your perspective on everything regarding Buck Showalter. Only 1 year in with his Mets regime and everything, 101 wins on the season.
Mm-hmm.
What did you see throughout last year that can carry into this year under the leadership of Buck Showalter?
Well, first off, Riz, let me say that they couldn't have possibly hired a better guy than when they hired Buck. You know, I spent a dozen years as a field coordinator for 4 different teams in the minors. And when Buck was coming up in the Yankee system, and the first time that I came across him, I was with the Detroit Tigers, and he was managing Albany in the Eastern League. You couldn't keep your eyes off of him in the dugout. Him and Bruce Bochy were the 2 guys that I observed as minor league managers that just stood out from all their peers. Buck was prepared for the 8th and 9th innings and the 3rd and 4th. Constant communication with his players in the dugout in a teaching aspect, and of course, has had a very successful and lengthy career in the big league. So, I just don't think they could have possibly picked a better guy. Knows the game inside and out, great communication skills, and just immediately has tremendous respect to the players because of the resume he brings to the table. And Buck
the
is
results.
Buck the
results showed.
Yeah, and Buck is the type of guy that if he hasn't happened already, I'm sure he'll have a clubhouse meeting, and as big a cog in the wheel as Diaz was, Buck will say, "Hey, we're not going to have any excuses to not win. We're going to focus on who we do have and not who we don't, and just find ways to win in spite of."
Well, there's no doubt he's a great communicator, Buck Showalter, and the players love him. Players manager. He's almost like a second father to many of them. I learned that more last year in his first year over at Citi Field, watching him a lot. Tom, we talk about this current Mets team and some of the guys you know real well, including Pete Alonso, who led the league in RBI last year, if not in all Major League Baseball. Is he capable, with all the new rules and everything, of getting over 100 RBI and 40, 45 home runs this year?
Oh, no question. Yeah, the sky is the limit for Alonso. When the Mets signed him, I didn't know anything about him. He showed up in Brooklyn, and the first thing he said to me when he came into the office and shook my hand is he said, "I just came from the College World Series," and he says, I bring a lot of power to the team, but he says, "I'm the worst first baseman that you've ever seen, but I'm going to get better." And I admired his boldness, but his work ethic was off the chart, and he had that rare kind of strength to hit the ball out of the ballpark from pole to pole, and just a great kid to go with it. And now that he's had success under his belt, I'm glad to see that he's the same guy. That he's just a humble baseball player that loves to play the game and be a part of the team, and God willing that he stays healthy. I think that whatever Pete did wouldn't surprise me. A 40 plus 125 RBIs, and I can't even when he signed, his presence in the locker room and the way teammates gravitated to him was just terrific.
And along with Pete Alonso, I believe he's 26, 27 years old, right around that age. There's a young stud in Brett Beatty making a name for himself in the spring. He's batting, 400 this spring, maybe 375, right around there. What have you seen out of Brett Beatty so far going into the season? Because he might be named the starting third baseman for all we know.
Yeah, no, I don't know anything about, Brett. I mean, obviously when they signed him, my son-in-law is Todd Zeal, who does affiliate with the Mets and does the pre and post game shows. And Todd was the first one that told me about this kid. And then when I Googled him and saw his size and bats left and throws right, plays third base. And then I got an opportunity on TV to see his first major league home run. He's got a great swing, and I see that he's having a great spring, and I don't know whether they're going to go with a veteran or put this kid in there, but he certainly has a bright future.
Yeah, he's one of their top prospects. He's in the plan. If he doesn't get the starting job, I don't think Escobar signed to the free agent contract. Well, sure will, but Beatty has a shot of being there on the bench. Hey, Tom, running out of time. We're going to have you on again throughout the season. Your insights, as always. I learn a lot more from you. So does the Wiz. You're a baseball guy. I know you eat, drink, and sleep baseball 24/7 with your son-in-law, Todd Zeal, who I will see next week in New York. It's always good having you. And, is there another book on the horizon for you?
No, just a lot of golf. I play in a lot of golf tournaments, and I got a 4-day event that starts tomorrow.
Okay.
But I enjoy talking baseball with you guys. I apologize for my senior moment last week.
That's okay.
No
It
worries.
happens.
When I was in
It happens to all of us.
And I'm glad you
It's
didn't.
okay.
I'm glad you didn't find me.
Well, I'm glad you came on. I'm glad you got us this week, Tom. And I'll see you in New York during the season, okay?
For sure. I'll probably be
course,
coming in June. Okay.
good.
Okay, Rich,
And we'll be in touch.
Great talking.
Thank you,
to
Tom.
Thank you, my friend.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Tom Gamboa, a longtime baseball coach, manager, also on the minor league level. Wiz, he's an insider, and a good coach. And any major league team that would want him, I'm sure he'd look at it. But I think he likes being retired and giving insights and going and staying on the golf course. But we want to know something. We go to Tom. Tom,
For sure.
great to have him on again. Good friend of the Good
Tom
friend
is
of
a
the
wealth.
program.
Tom is a wealth of knowledge. He taught us that first interview with everything going on.
Yeah.
Half an hour felt like 2 hours. Just all the baseball.
I know he can go on. We'll have him on again for sure. All right, we're sponsored by Skull Fuel Energy. Don't forget, look for the Skull. Get energized. Skull Fuel Energy, a sponsor at Sports with Rich here on the program and with the SLG Network /SWR. Let's bring in Avery now. Let's get to the bottom of the hour and let's get the fact of the week. Is Avery there this week to give us the fact of the week? Our great producer, Mr.
Sure am, Rich.
A little under the weather. I know you're ready for it. And I know you guys are ready for the fact of the week, sponsored by Skull Fuel Energy. Get energized. It deals with March Madness again, NCAA. It deals with college basketball. Really, I think you guys can get a shot at this. Top 10 states in the country with the most interest. Where based on research, this comes. Top 10 states. All right. With sports interest in all leagues. All leagues. I'm talking NBA, NCAA, NFL, NBA, Major League Soccer, and so forth. 10 states.
We'll knock the easy ones out. We'll get California and New York out of the way.
Well, you know what? California is one of them. Okay, and they're ninth. New York, you said, right?
Yep.
Third. Okay.
Third.
So now you knock two of them off.
I'll go with
10.
Florida. Florida's got to be on there too.
And Florida is not on the list.
I don't believe you.
Well, believe me, it's not on the list.
I'll go with Texas.
Texas is not on the list.
I don't believe you, Rich.
Well, believe it. This is an actual fact, not trivia, and it comes from research.
Ohio?
And Ohio is not on the list.
What about Illinois?
I don't know.
Illinois.
And Illinois is not on the list.
Oh, boy.
Okay, you got two of them in the top 10. The first one I'd have to get on the top.
I'll go
about
with
it if you want. Go ahead.
Nevada
at the top. Good job, Wiz. And, associated with the gambling, of course, the sports books.
What about
All right, want to go one more before we go to break?
Louisiana?
No. One of them you're going to be very, very surprised it's on this list. You would never think they would be. One of them, I'll give you another hint, is very close to New York.
Massachusetts
is another one. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. That's the fifth one. So you're halfway home, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you're not. You still got 6 more to go. Think about it. We'll come back. When we end the show, top of the hour, we'll go for the rest of them. But remember now, you got Nevada as the top one. You got New York as third. Massachusetts is 5. And you got California 9th. So try and get the others. Put your thinking caps on. I know you can do it. Sports with Rich, SLG Network, my channel on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. Sponsored by Schofield Energy, Backward, Keep It in the Ring, and much more. Stay with us. Sponsored by Schofield Energy, feel energized. Sports with Rich continues now. Keep it in the ring. Welcome in, everyone. Rich Mancuso, there's the whiz, Robert Rizzo. And joining us on the program right now, this young man who's got a fight coming up in the New York City, New Jersey area next Saturday night. Wiz will be there. I'll be there. Ringside calling his fight. Abella Boxing Promotions presents Bergen County Fight Night 3 at the Biagio Terrace in Paramus, New Jersey. Tickets are going fast, and we'll have it. Wiz, where is it the stream on? What pay-per-view unit? Where is it going to be streamed?
You can catch the stream Bergen County Fight Night 3 on Bergen Audio Visual. Search that in any of your search bars. Bergen Audio Visual for $24.99. One-time purchase. You get all the fights, 7-fight card, including Raymond the Scientist Quadrado,
who joins us right now on the program, the scientist at Ridgewood, Queens, undefeated 5-0 6-rounder coming up against 2-1 Yusio Hernandez out of Geneva, New York. Hey, Raymond, thanks for the time. I know you're finishing up the training part of this fight coming up. You've been busy. You've been winning your fights. You're 5-0, and you're back with Abella Boxing for another show. How do you feel about it?
Thanks for having me, first and foremost. I'm definitely excited to fight under the Abella Promotions again. Great energy, especially giving, just a give and take with the Filipino community and, a promoter like himself who's Filipino as well, helping me with the spotlight. So I appreciate it a lot. And I'm looking forward to putting on a show April 1st.
We're already looking forward to
He's fighting at 135, Wiz, which is, again, one of the top weight classes in the sport. And so every win counts for you right now because it's such a competitive division. Go ahead, Wiz.
We're already looking forward to the fight. I've been counting down the days. And what's your mindset? What's been your go-to energy the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks as we lead up to the fight?
I would say the energy leading up to it is nice and calm, poised, but also aggressive. And having that type of mindset all like leads back to training camp and what I'm doing in training camp. So nice time to meditate here and there. Naps help a lot too. Naps are very underrated. So sure. I take naps whenever possible.
And Raymond, 5-0, you win this fight, you'll go to fight now 3, maybe 4 times a year to get that record to the top where you can start getting ranked. Fighters get to 10 wins, they start the ranking. That's the important thing when you get to that 10th win. And do you know much about this opponent at all? It's very tough on shows like this to get a read on an opponent. And hopefully he makes weight. Hopefully he shows up. That's another thing about these we used to call them club boxing shows back in the old day. A venue like the Biagio, 500 people will be very loud in there, that's for sure. And you're going to have a bunch of contingent of fans supporting you at ringside. Do you know much about Hernandez, your opponent?
First, I just want to say that I'm thankful for the fans that are coming out to watch the fights. And like you said, I'm very hopeful that he shows up to a club show, like you said. Things are always left up in the air. Things could change last minute. Bouts are always subject to change, but hopefully he shows up. I don't know much about him, but what I do know is about my team, my management, and the matchmakers. I always make sure that they set me up with a guy who's not trying to go down easy. I don't want an easy fight. I want the experience, and they've been setting me up properly so that way I could go 10-0 and achieve that ranking. Hopefully within this year, so that way we could make something big of ourselves and, just shoot straight for the stars.
And you spoke on the record a little bit, 5-0, one knockout. So I believe what's that, 20% knockout percentage? I'm terrible at math, but whatever. So overall, going into that, and I need the answer for these viewers out there. We see Raymond Quadrado, but we see the scientist right next to you. So give us a background and a little story on your Elias and the nickname.
Yeah, the scientist, all good nicknames come from somebody giving it to you, and that's what the scientist was. My first regional boxing tournament as a teenager. Nobody on my team knew who I was. Nobody in the tournament knew who I was. I was, fresh. I was new to the scene. I was never that competitive, but when it came to tournaments, I would compete just to, feel something. But I had the glasses, I had the messy hair, I looked like a nerd, and I own up to that look now. I'm very proud of that look because the scientist came from all of what you see now and the skill that I have as well. And so just me breaking down my opponents, that's where the scientist came from.
Yeah, you look to get. I know that you come out fast and furious, not throw too much. It's a 6-rounder. You don't want to lose your energy that fast early, but you come out fast and you have a nice jab and you keep improving that. You had expressed to me in the past, previously, that you look to improve every time you're in there, and that improvement can only help you get to the top rather quick. Your feelings about that?
Yeah, definitely the jab is an important part of the game. Like I was saying before, I don't want easy wins. I want opponents that are here to give everybody their money's worth. And so, you know, just I just try to do what I can and impose myself against my opponent. Like like we said earlier, there's not much that we can do in terms of research on this opponent. All we can do is come as our best selves, and that's what I'm looking to bring forth on next Saturday.
Regarding your skill set and upcoming next Saturday with everything going on, what obviously not just how important is everything, but not just the obviously I'm blinking on this, but the lead up and everything, just your motivation aspect, your determination aspect from your pro debut to now. If you had to go back, what would you tell your younger self?
Keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right path. As long as you maintain that path, maintain the discipline. Most important, first, that's the first thing that every fighter should have is discipline. There's just being consistent in the gym, not taking 2-3 weeks off in between fights. As long as I'm not injured, I'm back in the gym on Monday. The next week.
You are, yeah. Now I ask every fighter this, Raymond, about the hydration part. You're coming in at 135. That's the contracted weight. Will you go in the ring at 135, or will you be a little heavier than that?
No, I'll definitely be a little heavier. I always want to make sure I'm, like you said, hydrated. So I tend to drink a lot of water. So we'll see what weight I come in at. It could always vary whether I'm fighting at 30 or 35. Hydration is a big aspect of the game.
Yes, it is.
And
Yeah.
that's why some people have those hydration clauses, just to level the playing field. And I totally respect it. It's a smart move. And, I'm just looking to come as my best self come fight night.
All right, Raymond, we know you got to go, and we know you just wrapped up training for the day. Need some rest. You'll be back in the gym tomorrow. You're wrapping it all up. Your 6-round co-main event coming up at Bella Boxing Promotions next Saturday night, Bergen County Fight Night 3 in Paramus, New Jersey at Terrace at Biagio. I'll be there ringside calling the fight. The Wiz will be there as well. And how do they reach you, Raymond? How does a fan out there reach you, want to know more about you?
I try to post a lot on Instagram, but training camp sometimes gets in the way, and for good reason, of course. But when I'm not training, I like to stream on Twitch, play a lot of video games with my viewers as well as my friends who ever play. So yeah, that's a great way to get in touch with me, just to see me in a neutral environment, you know, and I'm very approachable as well.
And we know that. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And at the weigh-in, and of course, fight night Saturday night. Raymond Guardero, do I pronounce your name right? I botch everyone's name up. Everyone knows that. And on the telecast next week, I better know how to say it right.
Yeah, Raymond Cuadrado.
Cuadrado. That's it.
There you go.
Well, you see, Hint, I leave that to the whiz to teach me that. Okay? Okay. All right, the scientist. That's what I call him as well. Raymond, thank you, my friend. Good luck. See you next week. Keep it in the ring.
Thank you guys, Raymond, for having me. I appreciate it.
We wish him the best of luck, Wiz. We look forward to seeing him next week in the ring. We'll catch him at weigh-in next Thursday. Looking forward to Abella Boxing Promotions, Bergen County Fight Night 3, next Saturday night. Tickets are still available, but they expect it to be sold out. We'll have more on that next week on the program as well. All right, keeping the ring time continues. Big fight this week. One of many more to come. Finally, it's here. It is Jose Benavidez and Khalid Plant, 168 Showtime pay-per-view. Wiz, this is going to be a war. Though I think in the end, Benavidez with the power will get the Plant and knock him down. I think he'll win it by knockout, TKO stoppage, probably in the late rounds.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a thrilling fight, electrifying fight. The press conferences leading up to it have been hectic, leading up just the trash talk and all the stories you see on Twitter, social media going on. But I can't wait for Saturday. Hopefully it goes the distance. And with Plant Benavidez, a lot of unpredictability on both sides. So it's definitely going to be a good fight.
Well, I hope it doesn't go to the distance with 3 blind mice at ringside. One of these guys is sure to get robbed. I don't think it will go to the distance. Benavidez has the power, and that power could get him to win this fight and get Canelo Alvarez finally for the undisputed belts at 168. But a good fight on tap for the boxing season, getting hot and heavy now. Saturday night Showtime pay-per-view, and a good undercard as well. Adrian Broner, he signed with Don King of all people. The Hall of Fame, famed 91-year-old promoter Don King has the controversial Adrian Broner now on the contract. The Fury USAC heavyweight unification title bout we talked about was supposed to be on last week. Of course, it's not on now, and you know why.
All money.
Money, purse. Right now, it's off again. That's what they say. And the boo of the week in boxing, the Gilberto Zulo Ramirez, failed to make weight in his light heavyweight contest with Gabriel Rosado. Rosado got paid fully, needed this fight. He wanted to keep his career going. Ramirez, boo of the week, should know better. 168, he weighed in over 180. Can't do that. So Gilberto Ramirez on the Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, that is disgusting. Got fined. Who knows where his career is headed? He hasn't been the same since he lost last year badly to Dimitri Bilbao at light heavyweight. So, and WrestleMania next week. More to talk about. That's coming. We're here next Saturday night, and the talk here is maybe Roman Reigns keeps all the titles against Cody Rhodes. And there's a lot of talk here about what could be happening with the bloodline and who the newest member of the Hall of Fame will be on Friday night. I think, they just have the Mooder in there now and Rey Mysterio and the comedian, the late Andy Kaufman. I don't know who's going to be next to go in the Hall of Fame, but WrestleMania is almost here for 2 nights. AEW, the question only reigns right now is, who does MJF get next? All right, so that's it for Keep It in the Ring this week, sponsored by Schofield Energy. Look for the skull. And Wiz, let's continue the program. Let's move on. Oh, by UFC note, you saw this, you know about this. Leon Edwards, decision Kamaru Usman, defended his UFC welterweight title Saturday night. And he used those legs, as they say. He was a good striker, as they say, and won that. Did you catch that fight, Wiz?
Yeah, I caught that fight. I caught it
Mhm,
live actually, and it was a tough ending because I thought it should have went the other way. Usman put up a great fight.
mhm.
Edwards got the decision, but as you said in boxing, it's the same thing with UFC. Three blind mice. So judges, I'd say every 4 events, there's one or two of those events the decisions aren't right. And I thought it
Yeah.
was Usman's fight. Edwards got it. Congratulations to him. But I'm an Usman guy. I'm an Usman fan. So hopefully he picks it up right where he left off because that's a W in my book, as much as it's an L in his record.
Let's continue the discussion now. Let's switch gears. It's March Madness. It's winding down. We're now in the Sweet 16, Thursday night into Sunday, heading to the Final Four next weekend, where it's going to be busy with everything going on. Final Four in Houston, Texas, Sweet 16. And what did you make of it? I mean, FDU gave a battle. They knocked off Purdue. Great job by them. And the coach from FDU now, he took another job already. He left FDU and he took over Rick Pitino's old job now with St. John's. Talk about that in a moment. He's now with Iona, where Pitino was. So success leads to more success.
Tobin Anderson,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, he left FDU, supposedly at Iona. Yeah. So 3 teams in the Big East, 3 schools remain in Sweet 16 from the Big East. And what do you make of the Sweet 16? You know who I like? I really do. I like UConn. I've been talking about them. Of course, Alabama and Houston still in there as top seeds. Kansas out of the picture. Purdue out of the picture, top seeds, number 1 seeds. But, I'm liking UConn more and more. I like them. Do you have a favorite now to go to the Final Four out of the Sweet 16?
Right now, I'm leaning with Alabama, the football school, for basketball tournaments. I'm leaning with Alabama, and I'm going to go with Houston for those 2. Let me just start with the schedule for Thursday. We got Michigan State taking on Kansas State, Arkansas taking on UConn. That's going to be a great game. FAU versus Tennessee, Gonzaga versus UCLA. And then on Friday, you switch it over, San Diego State versus Alabama, Miami versus Houston, Princeton versus Creighton, and Xavier versus Texas. So 8 games going at you. It's going to be a hell of a journey for all 16 teams.
I know your bracket is not there. It's nowhere near it. And 99% of the country, all the brackets are in the garbage. This has been a crazy NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament to crown a national champion. Bracket busters from the beginning. No buzzer beaters, which I love to see. Really no overtimes, which I love to see. But very interesting matchups. A lot of them going down to the wire. And, of course, the usual upsets. What FDU did is a remarkable story. It really was. And now Princeton, the other school from Jersey, Central Jersey, in the Sweet 16, they go on. Do you have a Final Four, Wiz?
Oof. Right now, I really don't, because whatever I say today, it's going to change by Friday. Whatever I pick, the upset's going to come. So I just fade me. For all the gamblers out there, just fade me. Pick the opposite, because I did not do good last weekend, and I don't expect to do good this weekend.
I don't have a Final Four. I gave up after the opening round. So forget about it, all right? But I do like UConn. So it's official. Rick Pitino continues a 6-year deal now with St. John's today at Madison Square Garden. Says he's going to rejuvenate this program. He's going to bring more games back to the Garden for St. John's needs to win. They haven't won anything since the year 2000, really. Big press conference today. I don't know how quickly St. John's will get back to prominence, but with a name like Rick Pitino, who's taken 3 schools to 3 NCAA championships or 2, a Hall of Famer like him, it could happen. This guy, as he said today, basketball is his life, and without it, he can't function. That's what he said today.
It was an interesting move, but it wasn't a shocking move. You, along with our colleague Jason Schott, they called this a month ago. Rick Pitino going to St. John's, and you said it's a 6-year deal. The only thing that caught me by surprise is he controlled and got the whole Iona coaching staff to come along with him. So that's a really big change in influx from Iona to St. John's, and I expect it to be a successful run for Pitino. 6 years. I'm expecting hopefully the 3rd year, 4th year, they make some noise, get that bid into the tournament, and go from there. But over the last, say, 10 years, 12 years, they haven't had a 20-win season since 2018. And then since 2014. So that consistency isn't there. Patino can solve that.
Mm-hmm. No, the Big East Conference. And again, they got 3 schools in the Sweet 16, which was pretty good. I didn't see that happening. All right. NBA and Julius Randle, 57 points for those Knicks last night. Knicks look like they're playoff bound for sure, Wiz.
Yeah, Julius Randle and the Knicks have been hot. They lost last night on 57 points from Julius Randle. Reading that right, 4 rebounds, 140 to 134 loss to the Timberwolves. And Randle, he's got it going at the right time. 20-plus points scored in the last 4 games each. And right now they're the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, 42-31. They could host that first round of the playoffs if they sneak by Cleveland. 4-5 matchup right there. But let's see. Cleveland Knicks, that's a coin toss. Whoever gets that home court advantage is leaning as the favorite.
And the Western Conference continues to be interesting because you got teams up and down there. And right now, the Western Conference is pretty competitive, maybe even better than the East.
For sure. I totally agree. This Western Conference, I believe there's 6 to 7 teams that can legitimately make it to the NBA Finals and win it. In past years, we only had 2 or 3 at most. So for this year, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant getting healthy, Devin Booker, Warriors, I'm starting to count them out. That road record is ugly. Clippers,
ugly.
And then you got the Denver Nuggets back-to-back MVP possibly.
What about the Phoenix Suns? What about the Phoenix Suns? Give me good news.
I mentioned them a little. Kevin Durant got to get healthy. If he gets healthy, the Suns are going to land in June. If he's healthy, no one's going to stop Devin Booker.
They have the ability to score a lot of points and to go far. But they got to be healthy, and they need Durant to get it going there. I agree. We lost an icon, NBA icon, New York icon, sports icon today. New York, 80-year-old Willis Reed, perennial all-star, a great player. Remember, 19, you were way before I was a kid, and you weren't even born yet. Way back. Walked in the bad leg, Madison Square Garden, Knicks, Lakers, playoffs, and nobody will ever forget that lasting image of the great Willis Reed and that Knicks championship team with Dave DeBusschere a part of that. And rest in peace, Willis Reed, a New York icon, basketball NBA legend, passed away today after an illness, 80 years of age. All right. Sports with Rich continues. /SWR. Don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe here on the SLG Network, my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. We want to hear from you. Conclude with the MLS. I was at Yankee Stadium again for NYCFC. They tack on some goals, and they can't continue to make it a bigger lead. It's always a struggle, but they say they're getting it together. 3-2, they win over DC United. To the road they head, Houston now. They got a tough road trip before coming back next week to New York with 2 games back-to-back at Citi Field, their other home venue. Luis Barraza, though, becoming a goal, succeeding well for Sean Johnson. I had hoped to play a little video of him. We're not able to do that tonight that I got. This team is starting to get it together. You could see it dwelling. It's just a matter of putting 2 halves of football, as they say, soccer, consistently. And maybe they could be forced to reckon with this young team mixed with veterans, as I wrote on New York Sports Day and Latino Sports.
They're definitely getting it together at the right time. Adjustment period, 4 games in, I believe. They're 2-1-1. And right now they're 5th in the East, and that's with 7 points. The biggest concern is they're only scoring 1 goal a game. So their defense is striving. They're doing a great job, and that's a good sign for any type of team out there. The offense will give in. The offense will adjust and make an impact as the time goes on. The defense is stepping up at the right time, so let's just see how it goes against Houston on Saturday.
We'll see how it goes on the road. That's where they have to win, but they didn't do it last year. They win at home, but they don't win on the road. And that's what they need now, especially in the early going. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Like, comment, and subscribe on the channel. Can be reached at Twitter at Ring786 and Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso, among my social media handles, as well as, read me and you. We're great content on LatinoSports.com, where we are co-editors, and me at NewYorkSports.com and other outlets. We're getting ready for Major League Baseball. More on that next week, and some more heavy WrestleMania talk next week on the program. Let's bring Avery in. Let's you guys try and get the rest of those top 10 cities based on research with the most popularity or searches, sports cities in the United States. You already got New York and Massachusetts in there, and California, Nevada is the top 1. All right, let's see if we can get some of the others. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to go if you can get them. Let's see. in the brief time we have left tonight? Fact, not trivia.
First guess I got is Georgia.
Georgia's not on that list.
What about Kansas?
Kansas is not on that list.
All right, oddball, Hawaii.
Yes. Very good. That is number 8 on the list.
Does that mean Alaska's on there too?
Alaska? No, they're not on that list. No.
Might as well just get that one out of the way.
Did we say Pennsylvania?
No.
No, and no, it's not on the list anyway.
What about Michigan?
No.
No.
Virginia?
No.
It's a toughie.
What about North Carolina?
No, it's not.
Oh.
Remember, you got to think about teams that have, tops in most of the major sports. All right, Hawaii doesn't, but Hawaii's tops with, I don't know how Hawaii got on this list, but it's on that list. Because they don't have an NFL team, a major league team, an NBA team, but they have enough sports fans to be qualified on that list. I could give you one that's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6th state is New Jersey.
I'm going to go wild guess here, Washington.
No. Okay, you got Nevada. The second one, you want to give the second one real quick. We're running out of time.
What about Colorado?
Colorado's not on the list, and a lot of the fans tell me, and a lot of my friends and people say these facts are nuts. These are they're ludicrous. Well, they are. That's why I do this, because I'm ludicrous. Delaware is number 2. Delaware. The last one on the list is Maryland, number 10.
I was not guessing that.
Nevada, Delaware, New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Hawaii, California, and Maryland, 8, 9, and 10. So in the middle, there's another state, and then there's another one that follows New Jersey.
I guess they have Baltimore. I was like, what cities are in there?
No, that would be Maryland. Real quick. You'll never believe the one that's number 4.
Wisconsin. I didn't say Wisconsin.
No. Of course you're going to say Wisconsin. That's where you're from.
I said it
well, it's the biggest hint about this. It's a smaller state in the country.
Rhode Island?
Yes. Number 4.
Just because of
and I don't know how they come up with this stuff, but this is fact. I don't know. But they say it comes based on research from fans that are obsessed with sports in all leagues. And surprisingly, I thought New York would be second or even first. Nevada, I can understand is first, and New Jersey, I can understand being there number 6 or so because they're very much involved with the gambling right now.
It's got to be like per capita.
I don't know. Maryland there, number 10, and number 6, 7, 8. No, number 7 would be that great state in the desert that I love, Arizona. Okay? Those are the top 10. You guys failed this week on the fact of the week. I got you again.
6 out of 10? 7 out of 10?
No, you got like some, but you didn't do 5. And you needed, there were 10 of them. I asked you to give me at least 5. I think you got 5 of them. I would say you failed. 5. I'd give you a C, but you didn't do 5. Yeah, it's okay. Avery, thanks for your help as always, my friend. Great job this hour. Appreciate it. Stay well. See you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll see you.
Thank you, Avery.
Ring. All right. Wiz, great job as always. We'll be back with you next week, 8 p.m., SLG Network. And my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, and subscribe. I want you all to be well, stay safe, and as always, God bless. Be good to each other. And any final thoughts, Wiz?
Tune into the World Baseball Classic tonight, Japan, USA. Yeah. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, Robert Riz 994, Instagram Rizzo4, Facebook Robert Rizzo. Catch all my daily content on Latino sports. Thank you for tuning in, and catch us next week.
And as always, as we say, till next week, when we have MLB and WrestleMania upon us, what do we say, Wiz?
Keep it in the ring.
Keep it in the ring, everybody. Thank you for watching. This is What's with Rich /tag SWR. See you next week.